Hey Margaret, I just wanted to support your hashtag 12 Days of Rage campaign. I think rape is a very important topic and should be talked about only by people that have been raped or sexually assaulted. I find that people that talk about this subject that have never had the experience are just highly offensive and vulgar, and it generally deeply upsets me. Anyhow, I talk about rape from a relatively unique perspective, as most men that have been sexually assaulted or raped do not talk about it. They never go public with it. They don't even deal with it most of the time. And I've met many men in my life that have had sexual assaults, and I was the first person they ever talked to about it. And it can be quite an emotional experience letting that out, because it's like the deepest, darkest secret a man can ever experience, even more so than being homosexual or anything else, even ED, whatever. Men will talk about that more readily than they will be that they will talk about being sexually assaulted or raped, because it is that sense of that lack of control that you have been taken as a victim that is so completely emasculating, even to the homosexual male. So I wanted to share my experiences with you as quickly as possible. At 16, somebody came up behind me in a public place and smacked me from on the head from behind, and knocked me out and raped me. And I woke up with my blue jeans around my knees, pretty much, and realized I had been raped, and realized that I could not talk to friends or family or anything about it, and it was a hard thing to process. Because I didn't process it, I just stuffed it down. It was absolutely mortifying, and this was way back in the 80s, because I'm not a young kid. The next one was at 17, my parents put me in a hospital to fix me. Yeah, that worked out well. And I was sexually assaulted in a hospital by both staff and by other patients. And having been raped already, it was a choice of either being raped again or kind of just acquiescing and just being sexually assaulted. And I would be woken up at all times of the day or night, and being molested and assaulted and forced to do things I didn't really want to do. And it was like being in prison, except these prison officers had drugs to give you to keep you quiet. So the next experience I had was at 18. I had a run. It was like, winning the slots at Vegas. I just kept winning and winning. At 18, I went on a trip to Jamaica, which is like one of the worst countries in the world for the LGBT community. And back in the 80s, I had no idea any of this even existed. So I went, and I had met somebody in Jamaica, and I traveled back for a second time, trusting them, because I had spent time with them before, and it ended up being that I was gang raped, left for dead, robbed, everything else. And when I finally escaped from the confines that they had like locked me up in this small room in a hotel, I got my passport and I tried to report what had happened to me. And the hotel said that they would not report it to the police, because the police would come and arrest me and things would just be worse. And then also that they would probably be shut down, so they're having none of it. And they told me to get out of their hotel as soon as, right now, and never come back. So I ended up walking through the slums of Kingston, looking for airplanes in the sky to find the airport. And I sat on a plane. I sat on two planes back in the day, in the toilets, flying to Miami and then back to Los Angeles. So it was something I'll never forget. And lastly, I had another experience in a hospital at 45. So that was just a few years ago, where a couple of times I was woken up by a roommate that kept trying to sexually molest me and assault me, and nothing could be done about it. because if the staff didn't witness it, then it was, he said. And it just brought back flashbacks of the other hospital visit back, when I was 17 years old. And it was a very unpleasant experience, which I really haven't talked about with anybody until just this moment. So I wanted to share that with you. I know this video is a little long, but I had so many fun experiences, you can only cram them in, as quickly as possible. For those of you males out there that have had have been raped or have been sexually molested or abused, talk about it. Come out. Live your reality, because if you live your reality, you get your power back, and you don't have to worry about feeling so ashamed or powerless or less than a man. Because when you stand up and live your truth, trust me, you're a man. And that's all I have to say. I hope it helps, and stay safe, everybody.